Welcome to another episode of Anime and Mythologies. Though this time it'll be a little bit different. I'm not covering anime, I'm covering a movie, a classic Disney movie, Hercules. And with me, of course, is Terrence Andrew.
Andrew's the Nespit. Hey, everybody.
Now, it works exactly like anime mythologies. We will go over the mythology of the source and we'll go over the media relating to it, and we will see if they do anything particularly interesting with it, and we'll grade it off there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, why don't you sum up the tale of the great Hercules?
In Greek mythology, his name isn't Hercules, that's his Roman name. His Greek name is Heracles, which means glory of Hera, which he named that after Hera drove him mad and made him murder his own family. His original name was Alceus.
Yes, I believe I've heard that, but I never did know he had an original name.
Yeah, it was Alceus, which is his birth name, and they changed it to Heracles when Hera drove him mad and made him murder his family. And then they were like, "Oh, Heracles, you have sinned. You must atone for this." And he's like, "But Hera, you know what? I'm not even going to argue. Just what do I got to do?" And then they gave him 12 tasks. It was really supposed to be 10, but 2 of them were discounted because he had help. So 12 tasks to regain his honor and redeem himself for killing his family. And then after that, he got into a fight with a bunch of giants. And then he got into a fight with death. And then he died. And then after he died, he became a god.
Did he marry a goddess?
He did marry gods. He married Hebe, the goddess of eternal youth.
Ah, lucky him. In the Disney story, which I watched a bit ago, Hercules instead is basically, it's a lot more happier Disney-fied sort of tale. He has a loving mother and father, that'd be Zeus and surprisingly Hera, but his downfall, so to speak, became at the hand of, instead of Hera, it became Hades, and got that way due to Hades sending his minions to drain him of his godhood. Of course, they failed because they didn't drink the entire thing. And of course, where that relates to mythology is it was snakes.
This is actually an interesting story. In the original Greek mythology, Hera sent 2 snakes to kill Heracles as a baby. And unfortunately, even back then, Heracles had super strength, so he just kind of strangled them to death and played with them
Like in the movie.
yeah,
Just
basically.
picked them up, played them, just threw them away.
Yep. Except for, in mythology, the snakes were dead, and in the movie, Pain and Panic were fine.
Yeah. Though I think now before even going to Hercules, some other changes I noticed in the Disney movie are the Titans. The Titans are not necessarily related to the gods, they're more just elemental monsters.
Yeah, it appears in the movie they combined the Titans with the giants from the Gigantomachia and just random ass monsters. Like there was a Cyclops in there, and I was like, wait, no, Cyclopses aren't Titans. They're specifically not Titans.
Yeah, it's a whole. Well, they technically probably are brothers, I think.
Yeah, they're brothers to the Titans, but
Yeah, but they're not Titan.
yeah.
And Zeus is more of just a hero character that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, just no.
For some reason, I did write down something that I don't know if Greek mythology ever ever talks about aging with gods, but in most stories, and this is the same with Saint Seiya, is Zeus will start the battle as young, and in the story, he's like semi-old, middle age.
Yeah, no. Like in Greek mythology, Zeus is at most 18 during the battle with the Titans. At most.
Does he age at any point?
No. All the Greek gods are supposed to be like in the prime of their life, like never aging and never dying.
Yes, I guess
They basically just reach the prime of their life and then just stop at the point like, yeah, this is a good place to cut that out.
yes, and I guess I think just every media does it, and I guess the reason might be to just and they don't want the character. It might be awkward if they have these godlike figures look like late teens. So I guess that's the reason.
Like you don't want your ruler of all the cosmos to look like he just got out of college.
Exactly. Olympus. Olympus, wow. It is a mountain, but it's also in here. It's a cloud. Is there
Yeah,
anything like that in mythology?
yeah. In mythology, what Olympus is both a mountain, but it's also this ancient other realm that the gods just hang out in. Is very unclear because it's like it's supposed to be both a mountaintop, but it's supposed to be like this big ancient place that has scores upon scores of houses and fields in it for the gods to play in.
And something they note is the realm or dimension is pretty much invincible.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. If you're human, you can't actually perceive Olympus. Like you understand it's there, but you as a human being will never be able to reach it. That's one of the things about demigods. They can see it and they can, in theory, get to it, but in practice, Zeus usually hits them with lightning bolts on the flight up.
Yeah, so
Zeus is
it's
not a
not
good
for mortal.
person.
No, no. There's we could do a whole thing on him, but
Yeah, no. We
ugly. I
gotta
guess
move
this
on.
story's not about him. But
Right.
something that Zeus does do, at least here, is create Pegasus. Now I know that Pegasus does have connection with Hercules, right?
Actually, here's the thing: Pegasus does not have connection with Heracles, but he does have a connection with Zeus. Pegasus was created when Perseus, Heracles' grandfather, cut off Medusa's head and flew over a freaking country with it without even thinking about where he was going or what he was going to do next. Her blood dropped to the ground and created Pegasus, who immediately flies out. I think I think Pegasus Saiyan mentions that in Saint Seiya Omega as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it was eventually given to another hero named Bellerophon because he had the gift of communicating with and training horses because his father was Poseidon. Because Poseidon's also trash, but that's a story for another day. Um, and then once Bellerophon had Pegasus, he killed the Sphinx. He did a whole bunch of heroic stuff, and he decided, you know what? I'm tired of being human. I should be a god. So I'm going to take my magical flying horse and I'm going to fly up to Mount Olympus. And Zeus was like, yeah, no, you're not going to do that, and hit him with a lightning bolt. So only Pegasus reached Mount Olympus. And Zeus was like, oh sweet, now I have something to carry my thunderbolts to me. I never have to leave my throne again.
It always works out for him, doesn't it?
It really does.
The devil's luck, I suppose. And
Oh yeah.
some other characters that are fit into this story is Cerberus and the Fates.
Yes. Cerberus or Kerber. Cerberus or Kerberos. No one can agree how we are supposed to actually pronounce it's a whole thing. But I prefer saying Cerberus because that's just how I grew up saying it. And I'm not
Mhm.
going to let some newfangled pronunciation guide change my mind.
I
But he
will
was,
say that in this movie, this when I think of Cerberus, this is the design that always comes to mind.
oh yeah, the design in this movie is amazing for Cerberus. Um, yeah, Cerberus is a three-headed hellhound born from Tartarus, the primordial god of the abyss, breeding with I forgot who he bred with, but some monster, and that created a three-headed hellhound. And then when Hades was given the underworld, he was like, "Yeah, so I'm taking this dog, and if anyone disagrees with that, that sucks for you." Later days, and then he just took him, and that's how Cerberus got to the underworld.
Just a boy and his dog. That's
Just
sweet.
a just an underworld god and his dog.
Now I know the Fates in here are basically a combination of two entities, correct?
Yeah, yeah, they're basically both the Fates, who are the ones who weave fate, and the three sisters, who you might remember from the tale of Perseus, because they're the one who told Perseus how to how to get his silly self to find where Medusa was. The three crones. They're called the three crones or the three witches. The, either one works. They literally mean the same thing.
Right, right, right. And after that, we have goes off on his journey by first starting with meeting his trainer. I believe it's Philoctetes.
Yeah. Now here's the thing.
'Cause I know it's sort of based off of your character.
Philoctetes, what in Greek mythology is not a satyr. He's a Greek hero from the Trojan War. And he's the one who actually helped kill Heracles. My skin is on fire thing happened.
Hmm.
to create the movie version of Philoctetes, they gave him they combined three characters: the Greek hero Philoctetes, the centaur Chiron, who was Heracles' trainer and tutor, and the Greek god of the wild Pan.
Okay, now I know that now this is just my own head theory, but they of course had to sort of ignore Zeus's antics
Oh yeah,
to make it a Disney movie.
oh yeah.
But I kind of wonder if, in a sort of way, they nod to it by pretty much making his trainer into what is essentially a rape monster.
Yeah, that would make sense, and that does fit Greek mythology's I ideas of satyrs and centaurs, and oh my god, there's just so many rapists in Greek mythology. Well, like it doesn't really hit you until you sit down and think about it, but wow.
My only guess is perhaps a reference to how people come about in war and how
Yeah, that
cultures
makes
really
sense.
spawn.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense.
Now, in both in mythology and here, the character did train legends, right? Before
Yes,
Hercules.
yes. In fact, the interesting thing is the only really bad part of the movie is they they say Philoctetes trained Achilles. The only
Hmm.
problem with that is the Trojan War is the final war of the Greek heroic age. So he can't. So if he's training Heracles, he can't train Achilles because if Achilles is dead, then the heroic age is already over because Achilles is the second to last hero of the heroic age, with Odysseus being the final one.
Yeah, some history and mythology mixing right there.
Yeah,
That just doesn't really quite work. Yeah,
yeah.
another thing I think they sort of hint that he's somewhat of a failure, but I'm pretty sure he's a pretty successful
Oh
trainer.
yeah, one yeah. In Greek mythology, the person Philoctetes is based on, Chiron, trained every Greek hero. Now I know what you're saying, Terrence. You're being metaphorical, and yes, I am over exaggerating a little bit because again, he didn't train anyone after Heracles because he died before Heracles did. But he trained pretty much everyone before Heracles. He trained Theseus, Perseus, um, Odysseus, not Odysseus. I'm sorry, Asclepius. There we go. Asclepius, Jason. I'd be here a while, but pretty much every Greek hero before Heracles he trained.
So he in reality has some pretty nice trophies and awards to his name, pretty
Oh
much.
yeah. He does.
And another important figure within this story, besides Hades and such, is Megara.
Now this one is really interesting and really sad. Megara is the wife that Heracles was driven mad and killed. In in Greek mythology, that is. In the Greek mythology, that's the wife that was killed by Heracles when he was driven mad by Hera, along with their two children.
Yes.
It's really
Now,
sad.
so they definitely happy ending it up here
Oh yeah,
and decided to use the name again.
yeah.
And I guess another, but didn't he technically have in the very end another love interest even before becoming a god?
Yes, he actually had four wives. There was Megara, Deianira. All right, so in order, there was Megara, the one who died,
Mm-hmm.
Deianira, the one who killed him, and there was another wife between the two of them, but I cannot pronounce her name. And then after Deianira killed him, there was finally Hebe, the goddess of eternal youth.
So pretty much aside from the goddess, the rest pretty much made a pretty sad end.
Yeah. They either die. All of his wives either die or divorce. Oh, Olympia. That was her name. That was gonna drive me crazy. So again, Megara died. Very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Olympia didn't quite die. She were she and Heracles were separated from each other, and each one assumed the other was dead.
Interesting.
Yeah, basically, the Greek god um Pan,
Mm-hmm.
Pan separate wanted her for himself, so he used magic to separate the two. Because Japan is also kind of trash.
Well, now in this movie, of course, is a happy ending. He begets his I might not even the right word, but he forgoes his godhood for the sake of finding love with this mortal, the first wife, Megara.
Yeah,
In
and
fact, the
then
whole story is about gaining godhood, but I don't think that was necessarily an option at first, right?
no, literally the only reason why he became a god in Greek mythology is because when they built his funeral pyre, Zeus looked at everyone like, "So listen, my boy is going to become a god now, and if you have any, and this fire is going to burn away all his mortality, and he's going to be one of us. And if anyone has any problems with it, thunderbolt." And everyone's just like, "Okay, Zeus, you're the boss."
Yes. Now, one thing I will at least say is that Re Zeus is a pretty problematic character overall, but he does at times have apathy for
Yeah,
certain people, certain characters, and
yeah.
those he
Basically,
may have wronged at times.
yeah, Zeus is a trash husband, but he's actually a pretty decent parent as long as your name isn't Hephaestus or Ares.
Right. Yes, the failed children.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? Oh, yeah, this, while the movie doesn't really mention or have like the trials, does have a lot of famous beasts show up at random.
Yes,
Like,
it
say, the. Go ahead.
yeah, it does. It doesn't have the trials themselves, but the monsters from the trials are mentioned in them either by having Heracles fight them or having them seen on screen after Heracles has already defeated them,
Yes. Or
such as in the
just, yes, go ahead.
yeah, such as in the oh my god, what's the name of that song? Zero to Hero. In the
Hmm.
Zero to Hero video, you do see a few of the monsters he defeats.
And rather just famous Greek monsters in general. I think I wrote down who. A boar.
The the Corinthian boar, I believe.
Hmm. I know that was one of the trials.
hmm And of course, the Hydra. He fights the Hydra like 4 minutes into the movie.
Oh yes, I really almost forgot the Hydra, and I didn't write because I didn't write it down.
Yeah,
Yes, and
and
go ahead.
well, at the end of Zero to Hero, you see him wearing a lion skin pelt. That is, well, obviously the line itself is a reference to Scar, but the fact that Heracles killed and wore a lion is a reference to his first ever trial against the Amaranthian. Hold on, I cannot pronounce this. I hate these names so much.
Do
The
your best.
sorry, the Nemean lion, which was this super strong, invulnerable lion that for his first task, Heracles beat over the head with a club and strangled to death.
Sometimes, terrible problems can just be resolved with simple solutions.
Yep.
It's also just one of the clearest and most in-your-face references you can ever see. Like, it's so clearly Scar from The
Yeah,
Lion
it's
King.
yeah, it really is. Like they were not even trying to hide it.
No, and also, of course, a random Medusa and a
Now,
Minotaur.
yeah, again, these are not Heracles's arch enemies. The Medusa was Perseus, his grandfather's arch enemy, and the Minotaur was Theseus, his cousin and best friend's arch enemy.
And and I also spotted a Garuda.
Yeah, I'm assuming the Garuda is a reference to the hold on, I'm going to say this name right the first time this time. Ready? The Stymphalian birds, which were these giant evil fanged birds that Heracles fought for his sixth trial.
Oh, so it is a trial beast.
Yep, that was a trial beast.
Wonderful. Something else is I guess go to the end is it basically culminates with a plan by Hades to free the Titans to fight his brother again, to finally
Yes.
defeat Zeus. I
Yeah.
notice I'd also noticed the only thing that sort of hints to relationship is that he does call him his brothers.
Yeah, that's whew. All right. So the fact that he calls the Titans his brothers would imply that they're basing these Titans more on the giants, who were also the children of Gaia, but they were the children of Gaia and Thanatos instead of Gaia and Uranus, because Uranus was dead in pieces. Look, Cronus had already gotten to Uranus at that point, but Gaia created the giants to fight the Greek gods because she was salty that the Greek gods
Hmm.
imprisoned the real Titans, despite the fact that the Titans had literally just tried to kill them.
Most of them, at least.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess Hades sort of works as a amalgamation of certain events in Greek mythology. Yeah.
Yeah, they're while I despise them using Hades as the villain, I get it. He's the god of the underworld. Most of the world currently has this weird Judeo-Christian ideology that death is bad, so it makes sense. But he's mostly portraying the roles assigned to Gaia, Kronos, and Rhea in mythology.
Yes. While Hades in Greek, while I wouldn't say a good god, but probably leans more towards really not being that important.
Yeah, yeah. Hades in Greek mythology just stays his ass in the underworld and loves his wife and kids and just does his job. The only times Hades messes with humans in Greek mythology is when humans mess with him first. I wouldn't call him good because good and evil are abstract concepts, but
Mhm.
I'd say he's the least problematic of the Greek gods.
Mostly used because of his, like I say, the connection with death and the fear of that, and because he is just by title a big god without necessarily being in a lot of stories.
Hmm.
Though I'm not sure if technically Hades was a part of it or not. There is a story where Hera and Poseidon, and Athena did try to overthrow Zeus at one point, right?
Yes, that I actually go into detail of that in my book. The the war the rebellion against Zeus happened when Hera, finally sick of Zeus constantly cheating on her, teams up with Poseidon, Athena, and several other Olympians to chain him up and lock him away. This plan would have worked and it was working fine, but then they argue over who should rule heaven now, and that gave um, Zeus's bodyguard, one of the hundred-handed ones named Bryros, the chance to find him and untie him, and then Zeus chained his wife over chaos for the rest of the night. Chaos being this look, it's called chaos. Do I really need to explain what it is?
Well, I guess you could say, is it the entity chaos or a realm?
Well, yes, it's a realm. It's a realm of unmanifested, roiling uncreation. Just looking at it drives both humans and gods to madness. And he chained her there all night so she could scream in fear and terror. And always like, yeah, yeah, y'all see this? This is what happens when y'all mess with me.
Yes, now, I don't think he necessarily let her free out of pity, but just because he was just tired of hearing her. Is that how it went?
Basically, he was tired of hearing her scream and felt she'd learned her lesson.
Yeah.
After being there for 12 hours.
I guess you were like, hey, I could have thrown you down there with Hyperion and Kronos, so
Yeah, yeah.
so be thankful.
Hmm.
Now I think now didn't he make the other gods build something?
Yeah, here's the thing. After he also forced Ares and I want to say it was Apollo.
Hmm.
He forced them to be human for a year and build the walls of Troy, which is why 7 heroes banging on the walls wasn't enough to penetrate it.
Oh wow! And
Yeah,
I think Athena he just said,
he
"Oh,
was like,
I can't be mad at you."
no, yeah, yeah. Athena, let's be honest here. Athena is his favorite. She gets away with literal murder. Not a metaphor, people. She has literally killed several people that she wasn't supposed to kill, and Zeus was like, "Oh, it's okay, it's Athena." Now, if Ares did it,
Yes, She is the, I guess the metaphor would be the golden child of the family.
Yes, she is.
And that's, I believe, all the references to Greek mythology in this movie that I can think of. Now
Yeah.
to give off sort of a score. Now again, possibly luckily for this movie, it's not necessarily based off accuracy, but more what they really do with it. Which is
Mm.
good because this is, as much as I do like this movie, it's bordering on a bastardization
Yeah,
of
yeah.
mythology.
It is like 4 steps away from in name only.
Yes. First, let me get your thoughts if you remember the movie somewhat.
Oh, I remember the movie. So, for what they did with the Titans, I actually.
I guess first go with design, how it
Oh,
looks.
okay. Yeah, the design. Well, the Heracles design I love. While the original Greek Heracles has a very basic design, he's a guy in a loincloth wearing a lion skin. The movie version of Heracles has this really slick golden and blue armor, and this epic short sword that I just love looking at. I gotta give it high points for that.
Hmm.
The gods, both with their multicolored skin and the little aspects of their divinity shining through their appearance, such as Zeus's beard looking like a cloud, or
Hmm.
Aphrodite literally being pink with love. It's an inspired choice. I gotta love you. You can't fault them for that. Trust me, I've tried to fault them for that, and I can't do it. The
Yes,
mon- but the real thing is the monsters. Oh my god, the monsters! This is a kids movie, people, and these monsters to this day give me nightmares.
they are designed wise. I would say like simple but creative and beautiful.
Exactly.
Like it just, I think it really nails like the point it's trying to get across
Yes,
from his art style. Go ahead.
yes, it's very simplistic, but very primal in the symbolism. Lots of teeth and fangs. So for the the design gets an what do you think? You think an A? What do you think? A minus? A minus sounds fair.
Yes, an A minus.
Yeah, A minus for the design.
Well, I don't necessarily cover music, but like some people find it weird that they use gospel, but of course I think the idea for using gospel is how do we make have a divine sound, a beady divine sound without it just being orchestrated. So I think that was the idea there, and I think they kind of hit off.
Yeah, I love it. Plus, you cannot get mad at these songs. I mean, Zero to Hero is a bop to this day.
It's a wonderful song.
Yeah, we can't get into music, but we're just saying the soundtrack holds up to this day. It is the only Disney soundtrack besides Tarzan that I will unironically listen to.
Oh, absolutely. Nah, nah. I guess I can't go to techniques. This is not an anime, but I can't go into that. But I guess I can go into.
They represent his super strength well. We'll give them that one.
Oh yes, like representation of feats. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah. We'll word it as that this time for
Mhm.
this one. And they represent his super strength really well. Like it's hard to describe because it's a cartoon, but each punch that Hercules throws feels weighty. Like you feel the weight of his punches. You know what I'm
They
trying to
did
say?
very well with impact.
Oh yeah. Plus, plus, how every single one of his strength feats feels very, very casual. Like he's not trying to use his full strength.
Like
That that is very beautifully designed, and it fits the mythology where Heracles was constantly fighting his own super strength because he kept accidentally killing people.
yes, that's one thing it does very well is showing off that like a little bit of effort, even accidental, can just wreck everything.
Yeah. So again, I'm going to give that one an A plus because, like I said, they did really well on that one, and I did not expect them to do that well.
Hmm. So we go designs, feats. What else we can judge it on? You think?
Um, well, we can't really judge on Oh, we can judge it on interpretation,
Yes,
but
and interpretation, like, well, what it does use, how do you think it
it do,
did it creatively?
for what it does use it very creatively. I wouldn't give it a high score, like a. I wouldn't give it another A, but
Hmm.
it does use it very creatively, and I and it builds this new world based off Greek mythology very well. So if you're looking for faithful Greek mythology, you're not going to see it. But if you're looking on unique ideas based around Greek mythology, that's what it does very well. I would give that a B minus.
Right. I guess I agree with that. So I think as a whole, pretty much design, amazing representation of the characters, or at least the feats. I think really good. Story wise, it pretty much just take Greek and just picks out what it likes and mixes it up a little bit. So not definitely not an adaptation, but something that can get you into the story, if in my opinion. So yeah, like say, pretty much good point. A B minus.
Yeah, yeah, B minus. Um, it's still a really, even if it's not faithful, it's still a really good movie, and you should all watch it.
Absolutely, I did, and I came away pretty much enjoying myself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
if you want to see a Disney movie that's actually that's actually accurate to the mythology, watch My Boy Aladdin.
oh yes. Now what is it? The 100 and
Yeah,
thing. What is it based off again?
the 1001 Arabian Nights.
Right.
Yes, it's specifically story number. Oh man, Aladdin. The story of Aladdin is story number 10, I think. It's
Really?
pretty. It's pretty decent. It's pretty early, but it's far enough in that you're already invested in figuring out all these tales. We'll talk
Right.
about that. We'll talk about that on its own someday.
Right. If this does well enough, we might cover Aladdin one day.
Yeah.
Also, we may one day cover. This came to mind is the TV animated series Hercules. I don't know if you ever seen that.
I saw it. I remember that one
Yes, which is it's pretty much Smallville because it is not connected to the movie.
at all. It's supposed to be a prequel to the movie, but the timeline doesn't fit.
No, they probably thought that and just dropped it because events that sort of happen in the movie happen in the show. Like Hades appears a lot.
Yeah, despite the fact that Hercules isn't supposed to meet Hades until he's an adult, according to the movie, they are meeting on a constant basis as teen when Hercules is a teenager.
Yes, and the story does revolve around a lot of sort of Greek stuff. So maybe one of these days
Yeah, yeah,
we're getting to that.
yeah.
But for now, this has been, well, not another, a brand new episode of Cartoons and Mythology, or Disney and Mythology, whatever I named this.
Yeah.
And tell us about your book.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. It is called the 21st Century Guide to Mythology, Greek Myths Retold. It is the first in the series, and it is just me retelling mythology in, as you hear here, here, as you can tell, my own casual, breezy language. I retell a lot of mythology. I have an entire section on Heracles from his birth and from his birth to his death.
Wonderful, and I will link that description. And if you want to name, so you have also have a YouTube channel.
Oh yes, I have a YouTube channel called Legendary where I retell old fairy tales and other mythology.
Wonderful.
I mean,
Make sh-
I have a degree in this stuff. I might as well use it.
Absolutely. But for now, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Later.
There it is.